Okay. Thank you for the reminder. So, UV radiation, right? So I understand the question. Again, like I said, if you are living in the poles, I think, okay, thank you, Revati Akka. So if you're living in the poles, that means you're living in the southern part of South America or Australia, New Zealand, or Canada, northern part of Canada, Siberia, very north part of Russia, northern China too, to an extent. You only receive the morning sunlight, which will not have a lot of UV radiation. That is not a problem. If you're living in anywhere else on the planet, which is like 90% of the globe, you don't have to worry about the UV rays today. Okay? Half an hour of sunlight every day to your body. It will create that shield for the rest of the day. Yes?
So just to confirm, Anna, the tropic zone where I
Hmm.
think most of us
Yeah.
live in is
Yes.
it's safe to get sunlight any time of the day, right?
Yeah.
Got
Okay.
it.
So,
Thank you.
yes, you can get sunlight any time of the day. The best sunlight happens in the morning. Now, the sunrise as it happens, the saffron color changing to the orange color, that is the best sunlight you can get. For your eyes, at least. For eyes, that is the best. But for the body, it doesn't matter. You can get it throughout the day, and that is okay. No problem at all. Yeah? I'm sure you must have heard of sun gazing. People doing some spiritual practices, you'll notice them early in the morning, they do sun gazing. They'll just, as the sun is rising, they'll look into the sun, right? So, for that purpose, to improve your sunlight and perception, the sun gazing is very important in the morning. But for the radiation purpose, you get your sunlight for at least half an hour to 1 hour a day. At whatever happens, you're doing your practices, do it under direct sunlight in the morning. Okay? If you're doing some certain energy practices like kriyas, try not to do them in intense sunlight. That means after 8:30 in the morning, try not to do them. That's the only thing I want to tell you, because it creates ushna in the body already when you're doing kriyas like Shakti Chalna or Shambhavi. And if you are doing them in the sunlight, it will raise your temperatures. So try not to do that part. So you can do it for Hatha Yoga. Doing it under sunlight is the best place to do. I've learned Isha, I practice. Yes, Sana. Perfect. That will also help. So there's a Netragna program. I think that's what it is called. You can plan on attending with any Isha Hatha Yoga teachers for your eyesight, improving your eyesight and vision and everything. It will help a lot. Okay. So we'll go from there to sunlight. Yes, we can do yoga asanas under sunlight. Absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely, Anna. Akka. Is this available in the US? Yes, Saka. There are Isha Hatha Yoga teachers in the US as well. You can just go type in Isha Hatha Yoga teachers on in Google. It will take you to that website. From there, you can actually look for the teachers, local teachers in your area. How do we go about doing? Okay. So winter is a hard one. Again, if you're living in the tropics, it's not a problem. If you're living in the extreme sides of the world, like North and South Pole, like North America and Australia and stuff, Australia is still not too bad. So winter time is a little difficult. Okay, I think maybe in the second or third class we'll talk about how to take care of that in the winter times. Yeah, if you somebody could remind me, I'll talk about the winter times. When lighting deepam, we should yeah. So when you light the deepam, okay. So few things you can do to increase the energy even further. You can just gaze at the tip of the lamp or tip of the light. Okay, so that will help a lot, and it will also increase your aura, also your energy body also. But just being in that space will also affect you unconsciously. Also, it will affect you. It will help you a lot, and it will also help clean. If you have, especially if you're going outside doing so many things, you come home, it will help you clean. Right? One of the Panchaputa cleansing is just being in the presence of Diya for a period of time daily. That's why I'm saying evening happens, you light diyas in bedrooms and living rooms, so that way you're in diyas and turn off the lights if it's not needed. Okay, one moment, sorry. Okay, so there's one more little practice. I would like everybody. Okay, one moment. So 2 hours of daily lighting of Deepa. Yes, Roberto, Anna, if you're from Caracas, you have good sunlight already, so not a problem. You get your sunlight, and you get your 1 to 2 hours of Deepam. That is beautiful. And after sunset, if you're going to sleep, in that one particular bedroom, please have the lamp. Okay, and this for everybody, not just for Anna. Huh. So Eric Anna is saying, yes, no, it's not okay, Anna. That's what I was trying to say. If the sunlight is getting intense, you will know what that intensity is, right? It will start affecting you, your body, right? The moment it starts affecting your body, you should not do kriyas under direct sunlight. Kriyas means
I,
Shambhavi or Shakti Chalna.
I completely agree with this from personal experience. When I was doing this under sunlight at the Isha Yoga Center, it's
Hmm.
not a good practice.
Yeah, it will affect you in a different way. Again, if you are doing intense Hatha Yoga for a period of time, then you will be able to withstand that kind of energy. See, the body is not ready to take that kind of energy. That's what I'm trying to say, which is like majority of us again, right? Our bodies are not strong enough to take that kind of energy. So yeah, the best way to start the diya. So I remember the first time I did the Panchabhuta program or Bhuta Shuddhi program, I asked the same question. I went to the ashram 3 months down. I went through the Bhuta Shuddhi. I asked the teacher, "Can I use the lighter?" And then the teacher only said one thing. Anna, once upon a time, Sadhguru asked somebody for a matchbox, and then somebody gave a lighter. He just looked at them like that, and that's it. Nobody spoke of lighter since. So what I'm trying to say is lighter will not work. So I don't know the science behind it. Maybe the source of the light in the lighter itself is not very healthy because it uses petroleum product. Maybe I'm trying to find a scientific way of looking at these things, but I don't know. Energy wise, I don't know how it works, but matchbox is the best way to go about it, even though it has chemical. Yogasanas, yes, yogasanas are okay after 8 p.m. Again, Anna. So, what I'm trying to say, why Hatha Yoga is okay after 8 a.m., sorry, is you're still working on the grosser elements of your body and the sunlight will not affect you much, your energy body much at this point. There are a lot of electric lighters also. Try as much as possible to use matchsticks only, Aka. See, with the matchsticks, the initial part, the ignition part itself is a chemical. After that, the light itself is coming from wood, and that is the key here. Yeah. So matchbox to light up your diya should always be a rule. Yes, please. Yeah, make it a rule. Right? I learned it a very hard way. So please try to make it a rule with the matchbox. Okay. So I spoke a lot about the fire element, which is how to get the sun, and space element, how to get it from the diyas. So we'll talk about the earth element today. Okay. So one more thing, I'll just look at these comments for one last time before we jump the topic. So my sincere apologies. I need to take care of something. Okay, that is not the problem. Okay, right now the video is recording. You'll be able to go through the recording. So magnifying glass to start the Havan offer. Yeah, you can do that also. Now that is not a problem. You're still trying to use the natural way of lighting things, and that's okay. But with Deepam, you cannot use a magnifying glass to light. That's right? So, okay, namaskaram. Thank you, Akka. Okay, so space is more or less you have some tool to take care of your space every day. You have some tool to take care of your radiation from a fire element which will help you in every day. We'll switch our focus to earth element a little. Okay, what is earth element? Can anybody give me some understanding of what earth element is? For somebody that don't know anything about earth, what is one thing? Food. Yeah, very good, Anna. Food is the earth element that we take every day, that we are in contact with every day. If you're locked up in a room for 1 month also, food will happen, right? That is your earth element. Yes, Neerajana, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. So, as much as possible, you do in the cooler place only because our bodies are not ready for that. right? Hatha yoga you can extend a little, but kriyas definitely don't do them after 8 o'clock sunlight. Yeah. We are part of earth, yes. uh, I wish I could say that we are part of earth, but with all the insulation we have created around us, with the rooms and all the material, it's becoming a little difficult to understand if you're really part of earth. Okay. So food, right? So there's so many kinds of food, and I'm sure you must have. Okay, this is one part. For many, many, many years, you're exposed to so many types of things about food. This food is good, that food is bad. This food is has this nutrition. This is bad for you. This is good for you. Now, the perspective we are coming from in terms of food is again prana, right? Whatever we talk about, the basic element is prana. Is it improving or prana? Again, there are two types of prana. There's negative prana and positive prana. I'll elaborate a little. Is it increasing or positive prana? That's all we are focused on. Okay. So what is negative prana? Let's say you burn plastic. You see, plastic is also technically, if your mind and consciousness allowed, you can consume plastic. You know, there was a time in India and around the world. I think China was producing plastic rice, and it got mixed with the indigenous rice or whatever, the local rice, and people were consuming it. It didn't affect anybody. Is it good or bad? If you're able to consume plastic unconsciously, is it good or bad? And plastic has lot of prana. Neutral, no, bad. Yeah. So plastic is actually negative pranic, highly negative pranic. Yet affects your prana in a very bad way because we're trying to build the shield for positive prana, not negative prana. Again, because of the times we are in, right? There's no bias. When I say negative, it's not bad thing. That's what I would like you to understand. Negative does not mean bad. We are in a time where positive prana is the only way to live this life very well. Our well-being is getting affected every day. So positive pranic food or positive pranic lifestyle is the only way forward for now. Maybe when the planet becomes abundant again, maybe negative prana we can focus on it at that point. Maybe there will come a day where we'll be like, we can have plastic rice and we'll say, okay, we're getting a lot of energy. That's a different day. Right? Today, our body, this body can only accept positive pranic food and can only digest the positive pranic food. Okay. So what does it affects your yeah? What does digestion mean? Can anybody say? Because that is the basis of all the food we are going to talk about from now on.
Digestive fire.
Okay, there's digestive fire. Yes, for sure, Anna. But what does it mean in terms of human converting food to energy? Ooh. Jataragni, yes. Kabirana was also saying, Neerajana was also saying. So Aditi Akka is, I think she really hit on the nail. So yes, digestion is nothing but converting food to energy. Okay. So now I'll tell you, for many, many years, if you go see a doctor, especially Ayurvedic doctor, but any doctor, one of the questions they ask you is digestion happening? Correct? And what is the answer you give them normally? Either it's happening or it's not happening. Correct? Yes or no? You say yes or no. So when you say yes, you're only saying yes. Every day in the morning, I'm eliminating. That's all you're talking about. You're not talking about converting food to energy. Correct? Yeah. So yes. You're pooping. We're only talking about pooping part. We're not talking about absorption part. So what is digestion? Again, so digestion is three steps. If one of the three steps is missing, it's not called digestion. One is called assimilation. As the food goes inside, the body knows it knows what how to divide it. Is this carbs? Is this glucose? Is this amino acids? Protein? Whatever. The assimilation has to happen first. Next, absorption. Once it's assimilated, it has to go to different places. So it has to get absorbed in the large intestine and small intestine at different stages. Third, whatever it we cannot digest is getting pooped out. Right? Typically fiber. I'm sure from your younger days you were listening to doctors saying you need fiber, you need fiber, you need fiber. What kind of fiber do you need? If you're pooping out fiber, then what is the use of having fiber? Maybe it's helping you in elimination. That's what you're thinking probably, which is true and not true. We'll talk about that as we go through these sessions. We'll talk about what fibers and what are good fibers, not good fibers, and gut bacteria. Yes, that is the source, and gut bacteria is what is doing the assimilation process. What is gut bacteria? At a subtler level, that is the energy. Okay. So that is the energy converter, basically. That is what's converting your food to energy. So you thank the gut bacteria every day. Thank you for converting the food to energy, right? So if you're eating 1 kilo of food, eliminating 800 grams, that's not digestion. It's just elimination. Nothing is retaining in the body. That's why you get hungry every 2 hours. Okay. You get hungry every 2 hours for one of the two reasons. One reason is nothing is being absorbed in the body because your entire digestive system, like the colon, elementary tract, is all fully filled with ama. Ama means undigested food for over many, many years. Okay. That is one reason. Second reason is you're eating food that is so lighter in nature that it gets absorbed very fast, like especially when you eat fruits, for example. Right? You eat them, the body absorbs very fast, and you'll get hungry again. That's a different thing. I'm talking about the kind of hunger where you eat proper food, granular food, and you get hungry after 2 hours. Right? Your appetite just starts again one more time because you're just pooping. Because body is not absorbing. Okay. So today, as part of this series, we'll talk about how to consume food, what to consume, how to consume, when to consume, where to consume, and all of those aspects so that you can take care of your digestion part properly. Because your internal energy comes from your digestion only. Okay. So during Corona, also, I was telling you about one type of medicine. Out of the five types of systems, I was able to suggest people. One type is has to do with the digestion only. Proper cleansing of stomach. It took care of them. So after Shambhavi, the hunger reversed. Yes, son. So Sadhguru talks about this. So Shambhavi or any energy practice, it's not reversing your hunger. Okay, it's just reducing your compulsions of appetite. That's all. Appetite and hunger are two different things, he says, which I'm sure you'll observe over time, right? So appetite is means like simply getting the feeling of eating. You just want to eat, even though you're not hungry. And also, when you are involved in energy practices, your body and mind and emotions will be very efficient, right? So when things are happening in an efficient way within your system, you don't have to eat a lot, correct? If you're, for example, your motorbike is giving you 100 kilometers a liter, you're fine. You don't have to fuel every day, right? Depending on the distance. But there'll be another motorbike that's only giving 50 kilometers per liter. Then yeah, you'll be using more fuel, correct? Same thing, efficiency. How efficient is the engine? How efficient is the transmission? How efficiently are you driving? Right? All these operating manual. You have your spiritual practices and whatever practices we're going to go through. So, because we're running late, we'll talk about one thing today, right? I'll introduce you to one thing that I'd like you to practice. So, generally, in terms of food, somebody experimented on empty stomach, yes. So, in terms of food, you will again, we're talking about the traditional Indian system, which is applicable everywhere also. The type of food will vary, that's all. The proportion is the same. So, there's something called monocots, something called dicots, and there's something called oil seeds. Does everybody know what those three are? Monocots, dicots, oil seeds. No, very good. So I'll explain dicots. You'll understand what monocots are. Okay. So dicots are ones. These are grains I'm talking about. The three types of grains. Okay. Dicots are like pulses. If you hit them, they'll break in half. Correct. There's a clear division for dicot. And if you look at the even before they form the grain, the dicots look like pods only. You have seen the bean pods, the pea pods, right? They split in half. That's why di. Di means two. Those are dicots. Yeah. Good. Monocots means you do that, it will not go in half, which is what? Rice, wheat, millets. Right? Millets are what? Like jowar, bajra, ragi. Yeah. So these are called monocots. Dicots are something when you hit, it will go in half, which is like beans, all the beans and all the pulses of India. Right? So if you're from, yeah, if you're from the West, I'm sure you understand what beans are. So from Venezuela, frijoles. So oil seeds. Oil seeds are typically monocots, right? That means if you do that, they don't break in half. Exception is groundnut. That means the oil seeds are those seeds where we extract oil from. Can you give an example of oil seed besides groundnut? What other seeds do we use to extract oil? Sesame, flax seeds. Can we get notes about this topic? So Anna, the recording is available. We don't have notes at the moment. Coconut, yeah, yes, very good. Sunflower, yeah. So generally, 60 to 65% of our diet is monocots. That means rice or wheat or jawar or whatever. 20 to 30% is dicots, which is your dal. Simplistic terms I'm saying, right? Your pulses basically. And 5 to 10% is your oil, seeds, and spices. Does everybody agree with it? Is this like more or less your complete meal? If you're not talking about fruits and stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't matter wherever you go on the planet, it's the same thing. Okay. If you go to the US, it's bread, which is monocot. Inside bread, you have meat, which is your dicot. Let's say it's equivalent to dicot. And then you have some sort of oil. What is oil? Some fats, right? So you put mustard or mayonnaise or something, some sort of fat you're putting. It's typical everywhere on the planet because without this completeness, food doesn't go very well in the body, doesn't get digested in the body, right? As much as um, this is the complete diet. So now we'll focus only on the monocots, specifically on the one monocot which has the highest prana. Okay, how many grains are there in India? 4 5 grains, right? We have rice, wheat, jowar, bajra, ragi. If you go anywhere else in India, majority of people eat one of these five types. Is it yes or no? Millets, yeah, but they're not majority, Anna. So that's one thing. Yeah. Wherever you go in India, you'll find one of these five. And wherever you go across the world, you will only find one of these five. In fact, you only find one of the two only across the world. What is? Wheat and rice. That's it. Correct? Okay. So out of these five, out of many grains, in this times, the highest prana is in rice. Again, we're not talking about nutrition. Okay. If you're talking about nutrition alone, yes, millets will lead the way. They're the best. We're talking about prana. Okay. No questions, right? So today we'll talk about how to cook rice. Yeah, we'll go into the rice a little, Anna. So this will be the last session, last topic for today. So we'll talk a little bit about rice right now. So once upon a time, again, so I'll go to the history a little. Once upon a time, India heavily ate rice and millets. Okay, rice was the most dominant grain in India. Second most dominant grain, there was nothing actually. It's a mix depending on which region you came from. For example, the region I'm in North Karnataka and parts of Telangana, jowar was actually the major grain. Right? Even Maharashtra. If you go a little north, they ate different kinds of millets actually. Bajra is more popular if you go further north. Ragi is more popular in the southern part of Karnataka and southern part of Andhra Pradesh. Tamil Nadu is predominantly rice. Generally, the coastal part of India, eastern coast, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, and all the northeast, Assam, and Bihar, Jharkhand. This is the rice belt. And fortunately or unfortunately, wherever in Punjab is also rice belt because they were getting the Himalayan rivers. Right? So there's basin for rice. So majority of India was consuming rice and other grains along with wheat. Wheat was not consumed the way we are consuming today. So how did wheat become popular? Anybody has an idea? And I'm not saying wheat is a bad thing. Does anybody know how it happened in over the course of history, or when it happened?
Agricultural revolution.
Kabirana, can you repeat, please?
Uh, yeah, I was saying agricultural revolution.
cultural revolution, when did that
No,
happen?
I meant agricultural revolution.
Agricultural revolution. Yeah, yes, to an extent. I think you touched upon it to an extent. So, what actually happened was typically whatever the soil supported, you grew that anywhere on the planet. So, especially if you're from Europe or North America or Southern America, you grow. So, South America is a little different. They can grow rice and wheat. But from North America and Europe, it's more supportive to wheat. So, obviously, you'll produce wheat. If you're from northern part of India, generally because of the colder temperatures, the Rabi crop, right, which is the winter crop, you took wheat because it's supportive. So rice and wheat were grown along with other millets. If you're from southern part of India, where winter is not very cold, mostly they produce rice. So based on the climatic conditions, they grew certain things. But predominantly, rice is the most popular one in India. Rice is what people consume majority of the time because of the highest prana. So wheat became popular in India, especially in the northern part, when British came. And I think Roberto he mentioned about it, but I'll tell you the story link. He said bread. So when British came to India, they wanted food. So England is not known for food production, right? The conditions are not the best for food production. India is like abundant. India and Africa are abundant for food production. So they introduced the type of wheat which is very glutinous in nature. The indigenous wheat of India is gluten free. So the grain that they introduced was glutinous in nature on purpose during industrial revolution because of, again, I don't want to go into the reasons. They also had indigenous wheat grain which they did not introduce. So they use a glutinous. Today whatever wheat grain we have in India was introduced by British, which is very harmful in nature. So I'm not saying wheat is bad. I'm only saying the grain we have today. So there are some traditional farmers in India in different parts of India that are still holding on to the traditional wheat grain, which is not glutinous, which is not a problem at all. But the wheat today in India is actually very harmful. Not only India, everywhere on the planet, it's the same variety or species, subspecies of the same wheat. Yes, I can talk about the gluten a little. Gluten is this compound in the grain that when you consume it, it will get stuck to your intestines. So slowly what happens is it doesn't get digested. It gets stuck to your intestine and layer after layer. Huh. So we'll talk about the glyphosate and everything also. Yeah. So layer after layer, it's just getting accumulated and accumulated, which turns cancerous at some point because your body can only handle so much wastage, right? If your wastage in your body is increasing continuously, you'll get cancer at some point. Yes, you'll get different kinds of diseases. The expression could be anything. The disease expression can be in any way for possible, right? So that gluten compound is too much in the wheat. Again, maybe in the advanced classes we'll talk about how to reduce the gluten content also, or maybe eliminate also for most part. But that is a problem with the wheat today. Okay, so I'm not saying you should not enjoy your chapati, roti, and paratha, but just be a little more conscious. Try to focus on rice until we figure out the best way to consume wheat. Yeah. So let's focus on the rice today. Um, we'll take one last question before we go. Yes, maida is not any different. So one more thing I want to say: if you're buying atta from the market, if you're from India, you're buying atta. Atta is the wheat flour, right? Technically, if you make flour from wheat, it becomes atta. What is maida? So today, atta and maida are not different. They're doing the same thing. Maida is like complete fine powder of atta, basically, where the fibers are completely eliminated. Right? It introduces all sorts of issues. Now you're increasing the gluten percentage within your system. Okay, so we'll get to the rice. So rice is a monocot. It's actually called paddy. Okay, rice is what is inside the paddy. All the millets are also called rice only. Right? Once the husk is removed, we call that rice. Okay, just like how we call dal. Once you split that, you will call it dal. Up till then, it's not dal. It's pulse only. It's pulses or beans, basically. Right? So rice is actually it's called paddy. So, what kind of rice to eat? We'll start from that. Okay. We should be eating brown rice or at least semi polished. You will get them in the market. Okay. Um, Until Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, you'll not have a problem. And if you're from Punjab, also, it's not a problem. Other parts, maybe it will become a little issue to get this kind of rice, but you try in the local markets. I think more and more people are becoming aware of these things. So you have to get no unpolished or semi-polished rice. Okay. Second part, how to cook the rice. We'll talk about it because of shortage of time. We'll get to the actual technique. We'll go into the importance of it in the next class. Okay. Once you obtain the rice, unpolished rice or semi-polished rice in the market, you have to soak it overnight for 6 to 8 hours. Okay, you get the rice, how much ever rice you're going to consume next day, you soak it. Next morning, when you're cooking, next morning when you're cooking, you'll be using the same water. Okay, so for example, and you have to experiment this a little, how much water to rice ratio, every rice is different. So try to buy indigenous rice or native rice. So within the rice also, there are improved varieties, hybrid varieties, GMOs. Improved are okay, not bad. Hybrid is, we're pushing the boundary, but still not bad. The problem with the hybrid is I don't have any issue with, like, quality improving and all of that. Problem with the hybrids is they consume a lot of chemicals. So in the native varieties, if you put little chemicals, it's enough. In the hybrids, you have to continuously put a lot of chemicals. They consume a lot of chemicals to grow to that size. That is the only issue with the hybrid rice, okay, or hybrid varieties in general. GMOs, just don't go to them, right? It's not even food in many ways. So try to find native variety or at least improved variety, maximum hybrid variety. You soak them in water overnight. GMO is genetically modified food, Anna. Fortunately, I think most of the food, grains, rice in India is not genetically modified. There's like one or two varieties which you don't have to worry about much. Okay. So you soak the rice in water overnight for 6 to 8 hours. In the morning, use the same water to boil the rice. How much water to rice ratio? Try to, in the first time you're doing, you put more water. And I'll tell you why to put more water. For, the chai cup, the tea cup you get normally, the little one in India, for that you put one big glass of rice or water. This much rice, this much water. 4 times. Okay. So 4 times water you put. You boil the water. Once the water is boiled, you put the rice inside. And once the rice is boiled, you have excess water. Is everybody able to follow till now? And this is applicable to anywhere on the planet.
I think I think 4 times is not enough some of the rice.
Okay. So
When it's getting old, the rice it will take more water.
more water. Okay. So for simplicity's sake, we'll put 5 times. For now, for testing purpose also, it will be very useful. Okay. We'll put 5 times the water of rice. We'll boil the water. The soaked water only we are going to be boiling, basically. Okay. We don't have to use external water again. The same water we boil. And once the water is boiled, that means they reach 100 degrees Celsius. Learned in science, right? You put the rice in it and let the rice cook. When the rice cooks, it becomes very soft. At that point, you have this excess water. That's called the rice starch. That means the outer layer of rice is called starch, which human beings cannot digest. It's meant for animals. Okay. So you have to slowly use a filter to separate the starch. Is it clear so far? And please do not cook rice in pressure cookers. We'll talk about pressure cookers again next time. Pressure cookers are not meant for anybody. If you're trekking Mount Everest, if you're living in high altitude, there's no other way to cook, use pressure cooker. Okay. It's a last resort, only for survival. We're not here to, that is not to build prana. Okay. It will deplete your prana. Because cooking means you have to convert the food in such a way that the body can accept. When you pressure cook anything, the body will not accept. Only in survival conditions, body will find a way to make use of it. You don't want to push their boundaries also. Right? So pressure cooker is not good. It will not help you digest the food properly. And all this undigested food, I was saying, it will create ama or undigested food, which will cause issues for you later on in your lifetime. All the chronic illnesses, the root cause is this. Okay. So you have to separate the starch. Rice cooker, same thing. Rice cooker means what kind of rice cooker are you talking about? The electric one? So once you separate the starch, your rice is ready. Okay? You can consume that rice. This is one thing I would like everybody to start. Do not cook your rice in pressure cookers. Do not cook your rice or anything in aluminum. Again, aluminum was introduced during the British era to the prisons because they wanted to kill the prisoners with slow poison. Aluminum releases the poison into the food slowly. It's a very slow, methodical process. Okay. So nobody was able to find out until recently. So yeah, do not use aluminum vessels. Do not use pressure cooker. If people at home are like saying no, we have to use only pressure cooker, you cook for yourself. How much rice can you eat in one day? 2, 3 little cups. You cook separately. Anyway, sabzi and all the other things are not in your control anyway. So you cook rice for yourself separately. Okay. Can we try this at least? Yes, no, maybe. So you can use steel. Yes, that's not a problem. And do not use aluminum. Please stay from aluminum. Clay pot is the best. Second is brass and bronze. Steel is also good. No aluminum. Okay. With cast iron, it's not very user friendly at the moment. Until you get used to this pranic lifestyle, let's not get into the cast iron right now. Okay. Let me look at the questions once before I complete this process again because I don't want to go too far ahead. I told my mom about pressure cooker and aluminum. I'm sure your mom is probably laughing at you because it's very easy to cook in these two things. Yes. So yeah, essentially no aluminum pots and no pressure cookers. Once you start consuming rice this way, and what to do with the starch, I'll talk about it very quickly. Right? Starch is separated. Don't throw it out. Okay. Remember, starch has a lot of potential, but our body is not in a state to use it. So something in that high potential will convert it so that the body can use it. That is one of the fundamental concepts of this pranic lifestyle. So you consume the rice in that starch. You add few methi seeds. Methi is fenugreek. Am I right? Am I doing the Telugu to Hindi correctly? Or sorry, in Hindi to English correctly? Is methi fenugreek only?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So little half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds you put in there. Okay. And you know the chili crowns. If you have a green chili, on top of the chili, there's a crown, right? You take 3 or 4 chili crowns and put it in there. Okay. So far, so good. The starch that you collected, separated from the rice, once the rice is cooked, you take in a separate vessels. You put half a teaspoon of methi seeds or fenugreek seeds and put 4 or 5 chili crowns. Fresh chili crowns, not from the fridge. I'm sure as soon as we get the produce from the market, like vegetables from the market, we put them in the fridge. Don't put them in the fridge, right? If needed, go to the market and get 5 chilies. Any alternative chili crowns? I'll talk about it also, Anna. Raw methi seeds, yes, Anna. Raw methi seeds. Those are the dry methi seeds you get from the market. You can use them, right? And if anyway, chilies are anyway available. If methi seeds are not available, at least use chilies, right? So green chilies, chili crowns is the best. If not, you can use a red chili crown, which is the dried chilies. You can use those dried chili crowns also. Okay. These two, you keep it aside and cover it with a cotton cloth. Do not cover it with a lid. Use a cotton cloth or cotton handkerchief and cover it up. And just set it aside for 24 hours or at least next morning. Next morning, okay, is everybody okay with so far? Any questions? Any alternatives for chili crowns? Anna, if you don't have chili crowns, you can use the methi seeds alone. That will do. Okay, so next morning, we are going to consume this energy drink, which is highly positive pranic in nature. As soon as you wake up, after you brush your teeth, we'll talk about brushing in a future class maybe, right? Just 1 glass, 2 glass, how much ever glasses, you make it really thin, add more water, churn it a little. You know the churning we use for the buttermilk? Churn it a little and consume it. Boom. I'm telling you, your hunger will drop, your body will clean, your energy and aura will increase just from this. And what is happening in this process? You don't worry about this for now, but I would like you to start with this, and I want to hear from you next week. We should not vomit, Anna. So what happens is, okay, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the process. What's happening is, sorry, Anna. Okay. So good bacteria, all the good bacteria, you know, the gut microbe, lactic acid bacteria, all the good bacteria that you need for your gut, they come into the starch. They convert the starch into simple sugars for the body to absorb. So along with the simple sugars that the body is going to absorb, all the prana in terms of bacteria will enter your system. These are positive pranic bacteria. Okay. You might be thinking you only get energy from practices and this and that. Bacteria will also give you energy, the right kind of bacteria. Okay. So that is what's happening. So yes, we call it Ganji, Anna. Yes, that is Ganji only. Yes. So for the simplicity's sake,
Anna,
yes.
hello, namaskar, Anna.
Yaka.
Actually, I have noted, Anna, when I take this starch water, right? So I live in Edinburgh,
Okay.
and the after a after some time, right, when the water cools down, when the starch cools down, it becomes like a jelly.
Yeah.
So I usually drain the rice, but this becomes jelly.
Yeah.
So
So
we can't really.
yes, it's a very good question.
Hmm.
Akka, who am I talking with?
Aishwarya.
Oh, Aishwarya Akka. Okay. Namaskaram, Akka. So,
Namaskar, Anna.
so what happens is, Akka, basically what's happening is there's not enough water. That means whatever amount of water you're adding, you add more water. Basically, that's one thing. Second thing, even after
Okay.
that, you're getting jelly type of thing. After the you remove the starch, let it cool down a little, not fully, cool down to warm temperature. You add more water to it, and then add your methi
Okay.
seeds, and then you use 4 or 5 chili crowns. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in the next day, when you're drinking it, remove the chili
Hmm.
crowns. You have to remove the chili crowns and drink it. You can have methi seeds. Methi seeds are very healthy
Methi.
in the
Okay.
morning. Yeah. And if you're doing
Mm-hmm.
your practices, you have to maintain empty stomach condition. So consume this after you finish your practices.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I'll
Thank you,
introduce
Anna.
two
Yeah.
terminology here today. I would like all of you to remember. Okay, please. Whatever you're separating from the rice, that's called starch. The next day, whatever we're consuming, it's called ganji. Just remember these two terms because we're going to be using this multiple times in future classes. Okay. If you're going to consume this energy drink, you can treat this like water only, Anna. So it's not a problem at all. You can have this and start your practices too. But it's best to do your practices on empty stomach as much as possible. So try not to have this. You can do it after practices. Yes, we will share. The initial part of the recording was missing, Akka. So maybe whatever is available, I'll share it with you. Yeah. So starch itself, yeah, it can be called ganji, but we are getting I noticed that in the previous class also we are getting confused. So I introduced different terminology. So we'll call starch starch only. That means it's not fermented yet by bacteria. Once you ferment it, we'll call it ganji. Okay. So that means the next days, this probiotic solution, we call that ganji. Okay, for simplicity. When I say, did you have your ganji? I'm not talking about starch. I'm talking about the fermented part of it. Okay, is everything clear? So we touched upon the Deepam. So all the fire element and Akash element, we touched upon it. What did we learn after? Anybody?
Rice. Mm.
Before
The
the rice and
pulses and
everything. Before the rice and food. That's the earth element, right? Between
mm,
LEDs, yes. Getting your
light, yes.
sunlight, getting rid of your radiation, right? Protecting yourself with the glasses and spending time in the sun gazing and sunlight, both of it. And Sunita Akka is asking, okay, so now we can take questions very quick. So can we use the Ganji whole day instead of water? Absolutely, you can do it. So only exception is after 4 p.m. we should not consume Ganji. So what Ganji does is it's a probiotic and very highly positive drink, but it's also cooling in nature. So what happens is after 4 o'clock when the sun starts to come down, you want to retain your Jhadragni. That means the fire in your stomach. If you have ganji at that time, the fire will go away. So digestion will not happen very well, right? So up till 4 p.m. you can have ganji. Okay.
Okay.
Monochords, dichords, yes.
This Ganji we can take like a chas.
So chas is buttermilk or matha, depending on which part of India you come from. So yes, this is pretty much the starch is nothing but the milk of the grains. The milk you get
Yeah,
from
actually
cows is that milk.
it tastes like chas only. When you take with the rice, it's very yummy.
Yeah.
It's very yummy.
Yes, we got a lot of positive reviews from the previous two batches also, especially with this. It changed so many, helped so many people. So it tastes like buttermilk only, right? You can add a little salt if you like. So, for example, once you separate the starch, you add little salt to it. The salt will also get fermented. Next day, it will become a very nice buttermilk drink, basically, for you. Okay. Can we use the whole ganji? Yeah. So after 4 p.m., please try not to have this ganji. Post MSR sadhana, we tend to consume peppercorn, lemon, and drink. Okay. So Anna, it will become a problem. Good question, Arulana. So, so for those doing MSR sadhana, if you're going to do your peppercorn early in the morning, right? You have ganji in the afternoon. The first meal after 12 o'clock, you can have it along with that. MSR is Mahashivratri. So for maybe for Isha meditators, this is more applicable. If you're doing MSR sadhana, then try to consume it with your meal in the afternoon because you should not have it in the morning. We have other cereals like maize or pseudo cereal known as quinoa. Yeah. So quinoa, cassava, those are all fine, Anna. Try to find rice. You can do the same with other ones also. Maize is a little difficult. We tried with maize. Maize is not working, and although also the maize you're getting in all around the world, it's also modified. So try to have less of it. But yeah, you can have it once in a while. Maybe one day maize, one day quinoa, one day cassava, one day rice. Yeah, you can do that. That is not a problem. Millet ganji is also fine. You can do that absolutely. We can do the same thing with millets. The thing with millets is you have to soak it for at least 16 hours, and it takes a little longer to cook. That's the only catch. Okay. So whatever the method I said, it applies to all the monocots. That means you can do with jawar, you can do with bajra, you can do with ragi, you can do with minor millets. With whole wheat, the wheat you're getting, it's a little difficult. With wheat, it's a little. We'll talk about wheat at another time. Today, it's not possible. Rice and millets, you can do this. Yeah. But I would like you to try with rice because, as I said, rice is the highest, most highly pranic food amongst the monocots. With millet, 16 hours minimum. Yes, Anna. Any other questions? Brown rice is the best. Second best is our brown rice, black rice, red rice, purple rice, excuse me, yellow rice. Any of these things are best. Second is we call it semi-polished. That means they do one coat. They remove one coat of starch. That is also okay. Do not go with the white rice. White rice has nothing left in it. It affects your digestion immensely. We are not realizing it. You can have white rice at nights only, not during the daytime. Okay. So for dinner, you can have white rice, but during the daytime, morning and afternoon, you should never have white rice. Okay. How to check yeah, if it looks white and shiny, yeah, that's polished basically. So it should be little off color. It should be little offbeat, off white. Soaking time for rice, but yeah, so yeah, 6 to 8 hours for any kind of rice, Anna. Typically, if you have unpolished rice, definitely 6 to 8 hours. If you have polished rice, we keep it for 1 to 2 hours, but it will work for 6 to 8 hours also. So how to store brown rice and protect from pests? This is a problem we are also facing. So what's happening is, if your rice is full of chemicals, pests don't attack very easily. Because all this pest attack is happening because even they want to eat good food. So they don't attack chemical food. They attack natural food generally. And brown rice has a starchy layer. That's why the pest attack happens. So what we found, Anna, is as soon as we get grains, we store them in glass jars. You get these 3-liter glass jars. Okay. Uh, Pest is a sign of prana. Yes, very good. So pest is a sign of prana on the grains level, not on the trees. Right? When pest is attacking the trees and the plants, that means the prana of the tree is very low. That means the pest is saying you don't have enough prana to do, the survival of the fittest thing, right? You don't have enough prana left. I'm going to kill you. But if it's happening at the granular level, it's actually a good sign. Okay, the end product. So you can buy this 3 liter glass bottle. These are very good investment for life. And I remember recently, this was 3 years ago, I stored brown rice in one glass bottle. And Pramodana, one of the volunteers, he found it 3 years later. It's still fresh. Okay, so that is one thing you can try. And so don't get a lot from the
Mm.
market. Get up till 5 kgs or something.
Anna, another question.
Yes,
So
Aka.
this boiled rice and raw rice is there, right?
Yeah.
So, so what is like the polishing of that? Boiled is polished and boiled, is it? Like,
Huh. So
do you
all
know the
your
difference?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So boiled rice became popular in between when they wanted to raise the prices and introduce this boiled rice equipment. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for you. It helped with some people with some conditions, but there's no extra benefit of consuming the boiled rice. Boiled rice is very close to white rice.
Okay.
Yeah, or polished
Uh,
rice. Very close to polished rice in terms of nutrition and prana.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
So
Anna.
you can avoid it if you can, but if you're making idli or something, yeah, you can have it once in a while. Anyway, you won't have it every day, so that's a different thing.
Yeah. Okay. Anna.
Yeah. So Arul Anna is asking, I'm in the East Coast. Anna, if you're from the East Coast, can you explain, can you give us an idea of which state you're from? Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Orissa, Assam. You should buy locally grown. Oh, from the East Coast, US. Very sorry. So, Virginia, USA, yeah, always good to go with the local rice. Uh, if local rice is available, that is. If it's not available, get the Indian rice. Yeah, that is not a problem. You can do that. But again, what I'm saying is Indian rice is still rich compared to most of the rices on the planet only because they mastered the rice technique here for 12,000, 13,000 years. So in that context, if you could get organic rice from India, you go with that. And I'm not saying the other rices are bad or good. If they're if they're not using chemicals, you consume that. But if they're polished, it's of no use. So can we take a promise today that we'll not only try, we have so next class we'll have it in 1 week's time, maybe next Sunday. In this time, can we promise that we can do these simple things because these are all doable? Like I said, when you step out of the house, it's not in your control. But within here, everything is in your control. Yeah? Okay, very good. Very good. So Deepam, sunlight, radiation, mobiles after evening, Ganji, please. Okay. I think half of the recording is not available. The rest of the recording, I'll make it available on YouTube and share the link with you by maybe tomorrow. Yeah. So people who don't have control over the kitchen, you cook for yourself. Let the rest of the family do their own thing. You cook for yourself. Once they see the good results within you, they'll automatically switch. I'll find the sunglasses link and share it, and Panchabhuta Deepam that will also share. Next session will be next Sunday within 1 week, so maybe 11th. Yeah. So we'll have total of 3 sessions. If that is not sufficient, we'll have the fourth session. But the introduction will be able to cover in 3 sessions. So it will happen around the same time. So 6 to 7. If it extends, it goes till 7:30. Today it went to 7:45 because of the introduction probably. But yeah, very good. Sriramana captured it. Deepam sunlight, less LED, Ganji. So before you go to bed, no LED for 15 minutes. Should be in pitch dark and you should go to sleep. You can have Deepam. That's the only thing you can have in terms of light. Okay. So thank you very much for your time and effort and making an effort to actually transform your lives. So I'm looking forward to the session again next week. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the group. The group is active. One of the volunteers will be able to respond to the questions. Okay. Thank you very much. Namaskaram.